Christmas and had some time off. I hope it was enjoyable, as enjoyable as it could have been under the circumstances of what we're all dealing with at the moment. But I, with it being Wednesday, wanted to just do a quick live stream. Um, f- I'm facing some tough day today, seeing as I got absolutely no sleep last night. Because my son was awake all night. So I'm going to take it easy today with the content. I'm going to do just a fairly quick one, I think, hopefully on creating Spotify edits. I've got loads of music coming out this year. It's getting finished, and I'm looking at kind of releasing it all myself. And I've got to approach the daunting task of making radio edits out of tracks, some of them that are 7 minutes long. I've got to say, probably of all the things I do in the studio, I reckon my least favorite thing to do is make Spotify edits, because you spend all this time meticulously creating your what you kind of define as your masterpieces, and then you got to decide what bits you got to chop out, and I just find it a painful process, really, but a necessary one, because the thing is that I think probably in terms of editorial on Spotify, if you want to get in playlists, I'm not sure if this is completely true, but maybe they favor shorter tracks. People's attention spans are shorter. And also, this was pointed out to me that I'd never really considered before, but if you have a track which is 3 minutes long and someone's really into it, if they play it, if they spend 10 minutes listening to it, they could listen to it 3 times if it's 3 minutes long, three and a bit. Whereas if it's 7 minutes long, they can listen to it for one and a bit times. And because all these things are algorithm driven, the more plays it gets, the more you're going to be showing up in people's feeds. So there's that aspect to it as well. But I will usually upload the short version and the extended version, so I kind of get the best of both worlds. But let me just, before I go any further, just fire up Facebook and make sure we are actually live. I always worry when it's been a little while since I've done a live stream that actually are things working out. I've got some new followers on my page, so welcome along anybody who's new, who's checking things out. Let me just find the video section and make sure I'm actually live. Looks like I am. So just want to say good evening to Mustafa. How you doing, man? Thanks for tuning in. So yeah, it's going to be a quick one today, and something else I just wanted to do quickly, sorry, is just record the screen flow, because actually I find that it's really, really bad when I actually download the video from Facebook. It's really bad quality, so I just want to record it in my screen recording software. Anyway, let's move across to Logic and let's have a look what's what. So this is a track which is going to be coming out this year. It's kind of a sneak preview of a track with Andre Espol, who I've got a lot of tracks coming out with this year. And there's a couple of things I want to look at. The first thing is, now a lot of the time I like to do this, I think a lot of other people like to do this as well, is put effects on the master. So you could just have a little filter. So for example, tracks playing as it goes through. So we can have the mix up. It's just a high pass filter, and we can be kind of taking out the kick and the low end. It's kind of what a DJ would do live, but sometimes it's good to do that on the master as well. I seem to be getting a little bit of a glitch there. I'm not sure why that is, but anyway. So yeah, so that's something which I like to do on the master. I'm sure other people do as well. I've got a flanger here as well. I quite like to do a bit of flanging on the master too. Waiting there, and I need your reply. Still waiting there, wanna hold you tonight. Yeah, so quite a good vibe. Now, what I wanted to point out is that I'm doing this on the master. Now, the position that you put these effects is really important, because we've got a compressor here. This is all a little bit out of whack actually, because this isn't actually the master, because I actually did a master of this in a separate project. So this was just like a DIY as I'm going along kind of master. So actually I've clipped it. Whoops. I've clipped the master before it went to the final limiter. So let's actually reflect that here. Now, what I'm trying to get at here is we have a compressor here, EQ, and then a compressor, which I bypassed because I bypassed it to bounce out the pre-master to master properly. But if I was to place this filter before the compressor, like so, okay, that means that I'm taking away a lot of energy from the track before it hits the compressor, which means I'm going to get inconsistent compression here, because the level feeding in is going to be different because the filter's taking away a lot of energy, especially in the low end where a lot of energy is present. It's going to be taken out away. Same with the flanger. So the flanger is going to be messing with things. It's possibly going to lose volume. It's going to be kind of moving in and out. If we put that before the compressor, we're again going to get inconsistent compression. And really, a lot of the time, we're trying to always avoid inconsistent compression. We don't want inconsistent compression because that means we're going to be having the volume going up and down too much a lot of the time. A lot of the time we want compression to be consistent across the board, natural, transparent a lot of the time. Obviously, if we're making a kind of a rock track and we want the vocal to sound like it's kind of just fighting to get through the music, sometimes you want to actually audibly hear the compression, but a lot of time you don't. And I'd say on the master for this kind of thing, we kind of want the compression to be a little bit more transparent and not like overtly kind of pumping. So for that reason, I'd always put these master effects after the compression. So the compression is consistently compressing, fattening things up, bringing up the RMS, making things nice and solid and consistent. And then we're applying those effects afterwards to a consistent signal. Whereas if we put those before, the compression would then be dipping out at that point and we would be getting more of an inconsistent sound. So that's just a small thing and a way that I like to approach using the master plugins or master effects plugins essentially. Now I know there's actually a new remix effects plugin in Logic which hasn't kind of found its way as part of my workflow yet, but maybe it will in the future. So let's actually do this because this is also going to be part of my radio edit kind of process. So we'll take the flanger off and let's bring down the mix. Now I personally find bypassing the plugin in Logic doesn't work. I have to use the mix. The bypass creates glitches all the time. So let's just put in a little bit of a mix and I'll edit it and then I'll show you why I'm doing that. Whoops, what am I doing? Don't want to record. No. Okay. I think it's got a little bit confused there, so I might just have to quit and reopen Logic. Okay, sorry about this. Okay. Let's open that up again. So what I'm going to do is apply some master bus automation, and then we're going to go about having a look at creating this Spotify edit. And I'll kind of talk about my thought process for how to do that. So the important things that we want to be able to do is work out what time period we're looking at, and also make sure that we don't end up with loads of projects, because that is really annoying when you need to do separate masters or you want to tweak something quickly. Having it in a different project is really annoying. If you need to come back to it and you go, oh, the bass is 2 dB too loud, you've got to find the radio edit project, you've got to find the original mix project, you've got to open double the projects. If you're mastering it in a separate project, you've then got to bounce them out separately, put them into the master project, bounce them out. It's really, really cumbersome and kind of I find a bad workflow. So I like to make the radio edit within the project that I created the track in. So that's what we're going to do. So I kind of copy everything across. And the reason why I'm showing you this master effects processing is I want to show you a kind of elegant way that you can make sure that that gets copied across as well. Now, in fact, that's something we need to do on all our automated buses. So that's what we're going to kind of look at, as well as actually just the creative aspect of making Spotify edits, if you can call it creative, which it is. I guess it's just something I really would rather do that. In fact, I have actually researched whether there's someone you can pay to make Spotify edits, because I really dislike it that much. But anyway, I digress. So let's play the track. Let's get that filter open, and let's not record, because that's what took us. Close Logic down and had to reopen it. So let's just automate this mix parameter. Okay, this is great. Let's just reset the going into the here and flipping this sample rate fixer. This is probably because I'm streaming, I'm filming the screen, and I'm using a big mix project as well. So my Mac Pro is kind of going, yeah, not into that. Okay. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just take off these master plugins here and see if we can get away with that. Okay, so I just needed to save some processing. It's just reaching the limit of the processor. So that's fine. So what we're going to do is go through and create some automation on this master of the filter. Okay, cool. So now we have a lane here for the master, which has got a name on it because I've named the channel strip, which has got that automation on. Now what I normally do is kind of work out where I'm going to put it and then actually go in and really do it accurately to make sure that I get exactly the tight automation I'm looking for. Don't want any kind of clicks where it's kind of going halfway through a kick drum, you're trying to filter it and stuff like that. So it needs to be tight. Oh, missed the place. There you go. Okay, so obviously if we start to copy this across to make the radio edit, we're going to lose this automation. So what we need to do is use the pencil tool, add in a region here, bring it back to the beginning, and just go back to the pencil tool. Don't want to loop it, so go to the bottom right. Let's just find the rest of our regions, make sure we're selecting the right amount of time. Okay, so what then we can do is go to mix, convert. Let's get the automation up, and I usually like to do it like convert visible track automation to region automation. Okay, that now means if we move this around, we're going to get that automation in there as well. So here, there's automation on this bus here as well. So we'll do the same thing here as well. And in fact, this time, what we'll do is we will do mix, convert all track automation to region automation. And then you see we can move that around, and it's moved it. So have we got any more buses that have been automated here? I don't think so, but maybe there's some within these submixes. None in the drums. Let's check out the bass. No. Guitar. No. Piano. Doesn't look like it. Strings, risers. No. Vocals. Be surprised if there wasn't for the vocals. There we go. So there's a bunch here. You can see there's a lot of automation on there. So we'll have to move this across as well. I think I can copy this down, can I? I want to copy the automation now. So I don't know why it's doing that. It should ask me if it's... I don't know when that got changed. That should not be. Should always ask if I want to move the automation. I'm just going to do this in a simple way, as annoying as it is. I'm going to put regions in for each one of these. Okay, let's just hide the automation. Send these out. There we go. And let's select the channel, mix, convert, all track automation to region automation. Same on this one. Just the region automation. I actually didn't realize there was this many tracks to do this with, but it's good that you can see the process. Track automation to region automation. Track automation to region automation. There we go. Don't think there's any for this, no. And probably none for that other. Okay, cool. So now we have all our automation added into regions. So we're kind of where we need to be. So now if I copy these across, maybe it will let me. That's weird. Okay, so we'll give ourselves a bit of space. It's going to have to think about it. Yeah, it is really putting a strain on the computer, I think, working with live streaming, screen recording, and a mix project. Hi 2K, how's it going? Hope you're good. If any of you guys have got any questions there, just fire them in the chat and I'll answer them. So cool. So now, as I said, I need to know the time reference. So I like to use this first collection of regions as being the Spotify edit, because I can see on my transport how I'm doing time-wise, and I leave this for the kind of extended version because that's already kind of arranged properly. So as I said, you've got to be, you can't be precious when you're doing the Spotify edits. But what is good now is we know that our automation is not all going to get messed up when I start moving things around, because when I'm chopping things, then I'm actually working with the automation as well. Okay, so we don't need the DJ intro. So we can probably start it there. So I can probably cut out this section here and start with the guitars. But then we probably need the crash going back in there, something just to punctuate that first. Oops. What tool I had there? To punctuate that first downbeat. So you kind of have like 5 seconds really to grab people's attention. Okay, so probably don't need all that amount of time. So this is a skip cycle here. So if I drag left to right, it repeats. If I drag, it used to be the opposite way, but they changed it. I've kind of gone back to the old school logic. If you hold down Command, and click on it, then you get a skip cycle. So it means you can quickly audition these things. Something sounds a bit strange there. So this is where things get a bit strange because I may have bounced down. Hopefully I've got automation on these things. Yeah, I do. So you can see here, like there's things that are jumping because I've chopped it and the automation's been chopped off halfway through. So there's a symbol that's coming in there that sounds strange as well. So we have to do some amendments to this. So we'll fade that symbol in a bit slower. So I really don't have the luxury for 21 bars of intro, so I need to find a way of chopping this down as well. So probably I need to integrate these chords coming in with this build up to the vocal. I don't think I have the luxury of that section there really. So we could try something like that. So something weird going on there with this pad, but I think that should be fixed. So I've got to decide really whether can I kind of get away with this short. Yeah, I think I'm going to try and make that work actually. So I'll fade that up a little bit slower. So you can hear the guitar just jumps there. So let's try and find that. Guitar, guitar, guitar. You can see this automation's jumping around. It's no good. I just love it when Logic puts those little automation things in there. It's always fun. little glitches. I want to say hi to Mike, who says the Fader Pro course was a game changer. That's very kind of you, Mike. Wonder which one did you watch? Did you watch the one that I recently did, the kind of mastering one, or the one that I did a couple of years ago? I guess it was. Yeah, I'd be interested to know which one it was. But yeah, thank you very much. I'm glad it was useful. Oh, let me do that. So I can hear there's something glitching around here. Maybe it's some kind of weird vocal thing going on here. Yeah, I don't know what that was. Oh, maybe that's got an ad lib which has been chopped out. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. No. Okay, cool. So let's just take that intro again. Luckily, the intro and the breakdowns and the outro are the hardest parts, because the main body of the track you can kind of leave a bit more, I think. So let's just take this intro again and see where we're at. There's still something jumping up in a weird way here. Probably the shaker. Not that. Is it this? No. Is it this coming in here? Maybe. Yeah. So maybe we don't need that at all. Yeah, so that's kind of 30 seconds, 24 seconds in, and we're getting to kind of the chorus drop kind of section, kind of the main bit that people are going to be kind of interested in, I suppose, is coming in within 30 seconds. I think that's working. So yeah, so it was a tech house mixing and mastering one. Okay, great. Yeah, as I said, I'm just really glad it's useful. Always, it's very heartwarming when you get positive reviews on stuff like that, and being able to share knowledge. Yes, it's great. So thanks for that. Okay, cool. So main body of the track. Okay, so we could maybe chop this out a little bit. Maybe we need that. Okay, so we're at 2 minutes. We're looking for about 3.5 minutes. So what I'm hoping is that I can just get to the last section and then chop it and then finish it. So yeah, what I want to do, what I want to try is just finishing the track there. But I need to be careful, obviously, that I don't chop out anything from the extended, which is afterwards here. Leave that as it is. Then I just need to fine tune that ending to make sure that it works. So what bar are we at here? 109. So we'll chop out all this. Okay. Cool. All right. So a few little stragglers here. So we are at about 3 minutes 40, 3 minutes 36. Some people want to say that it should be 2.5 minutes, but it's just painful. But yeah, I could probably lose a little bit more if I tried to. But let's see how this outro is working. Sorry about this glitching. As I said, it's because I'm streaming, recording, and it's a big project. So I wonder if there's something else I can switch off. See any big CPU drains here? Yeah, the Kramer tapes are quite gnarly in terms of CPU. So let me just switch over and see if it makes a difference. Yeah, I think that kind of works like that. Let's put in a little high pass here. So often I find the problem is with doing these Spotify edits is that it's right at the end of the process when I'm completely bored of the track, and you kind of end up just doing it as an afterthought. And actually, really, it should actually be the first thing you think of should be the Spotify edit, because that's the world we live in. You know, especially with COVID, streaming's people aren't going out to clubs, so the edit's the most important thing, really. So it's almost something I want to try and work on this year, is actually starting with the edit and then making the extended afterwards, and spending more time, because I think it's actually in some ways easier to extend it out than it is to make things shorter. Yeah, I think that works actually. So what I would do now is bounce this down and just listen to it out of the studio, put it into my Trello document, listen to it out of the studio, and see how it works. So one last thing I want to show you on this, especially if you're doing your own mastering. Now I hope this doesn't glitch out by opening this up, but when you're mastering for Spotify, you should master to a different level, because Spotify basically matches the RMS of everything to work at -14, I think it is, from memory. So if you have a squash dynamic range, it will basically bring that down to the same level as a track which is more dynamic. They'll both have an RMS of -14, which means your track will actually be comparatively quieter if it's more squashed. So that is why the master that you use for Traxsource and Beatport and all those places and SoundCloud should not be the master that you use for Spotify. And what I've done here is I've learnt the threshold of -14, which is the perfect kind of Spotify level. So let's just go to a bit of the track, which hopefully isn't going to glitch. So you can see it's moving the threshold now to learn -14. So once it's kind of settled on it, we should now be looking at an RMS of -14. So that is going to be the kind of master that we want to upload to Spotify, rather than like the fully limited loud master that you use for the stores and SoundCloud. That's going to sound really bad on Spotify. So you should have a separate master that you upload to Spotify. Now, a lot of labels don't do this actually, because it's a hassle. You've got to have a separate kind of order essentially, or a separate upload, to the distributor, and it's a bit annoying, but in the long run it pays off, because you'll have a much better sounding track at the end of it. So that was the final thing on this. So that is my kind of my Spotify edit kind of created. So what I'm going to do is just bounce it out. I'll bounce it out just with that on. I'm actually going to switch off that filter, because I did the actual master in a separate project, but this is just for me to listen to. So actually what I'll do is I'll bounce out a pre-master, so then I can master it separately. So this will allow me to check it out, as I said, outside the studio, and just check if it's working, and then make any tweaks that I need to. So what's this? Pre-master 5 radio. There we go. And there we have a Spotify edit. So what have we kind of talked about today? What have we covered? So the first thing is, where do you position your effects on your master chain? Position them after your compression, before your limiter, obviously, because if the limiter is the final kind of piece of the puzzle, and if you put it after the limiter, you'll be peaking and clipping everything. Before the limiter, but after the compressor, because that means you're filtering a nice level, nice fat, round, kind of compressed sound. Whereas if you filter before you go to the compressor, you're going to be getting uneven compression on the master, which is not what you want. So any of those effects processes like flanging, filtering, I don't know, reverbs, whatever you put on the master, do it post-compression, pre-limiting. In my experience, that works better. The second thing is, when you're creating edits in Logic, I find it much easier to do it in one project, because that means you don't have to keep on going back to things and opening up multiple projects. Drag all the files across, but very important, make sure you make regions for your automation, and you go to mix, convert track automation to region automation, which means you can chop things around and the automation will stay the same. You can also move the whole project later on to keep the extended and the radio edit separate. So then, as I said, you've got 5 seconds really to grab people's attention. And actually, it's quite interesting. If you do Facebook ads for your music, you kind of realize that it is people make up their minds pretty quickly, on whether they want to watch something or not. So you do have to be quick and grab people's attention. It's good to get the kind of main hook in there within 30 seconds to get people grabbed. And then 2.5 to 3.5 minutes. I think for this kind of music, 3.5 minutes is more realistic, really. But and then the final thing was, when you're doing a master, don't upload your Nosebleed kind of maxed out master to Spotify, because it will sound actually comparatively quieter than if you uploaded a master which is a little bit more dynamic. So Spotify looks for a -14 master level, so that's what you should feed to Spotify. So that was the final thing. And Ozone, if you use Ozone, has a preset to learn the threshold of -14. Okay, guys, I hope you found that interesting and informative. And I'll be back next week on Wednesday to do another live stream. And I might try and fit one in before, but with it being New Year, it's probably going to be unlikely. So yeah, Happy New Year, everyone. I hope 2021 is better for all of us than 2020 has been. It'd be good to say goodbye to this year. And I'll see you in 2021. All right. Cheers, guys.